now, but she currently is...
A great number of dear friends of mine got together
and deadly movie sets that sounded too insane for Hollywood, until shocking revelations like buried interviews and cancer clusters proved them all true, flipping the legend upside down.
Man.
But what about the civil rights? I mean, it's necessary.
What about...
And midway in the meeting, I felt something tugging at my pant leg, and I looked down.
Growing up poor, his family bounced around until landing in California, where young Marion scraped by without basics like running water or electricity, always chasing approval that felt just out of reach. That drive pushed him into football at USC on a scholarship, dreaming of gridiron glory, but a brutal body surfing wipeout in 1926 tore his shoulder and shattered those plans forever.
Hawks.
Well...
was able to be a part of a picture in which...
That's where fate kicked in. Director John Ford spotted him, but not kindly at first, mocking his stance during a football scene and sparking a lifelong bond mixed with tough love. Ford became like a harsh father figure, launching Wayne's career but also humiliating him on sets, calling him names that stung deep, even reducing the big man to tears more than once.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's My Line?
Shoving him into a decade of cheap B-westerns where he cranked out dozens of flicks for peanuts, feeling like Hollywood's forgotten prisoner. He hated the grind, earning as little as $75 a week at first, then scraping by on $1,750 per picture, but it built his grit, even if it meant signing a long-term deal with Republic Studios right before his breakout in Stagecoach in 1939. That film changed everything, with Ford fighting to cast him despite studios laughing off Wayne as washed up, paying him a measly $3,700 while co-stars raked in 5 times more. Stagecoach exploded, earning Oscar nods and turning Wayne into a star, but World War II loomed, and here's where the shadows creep in. Hollywood's hero on screen stayed home while peers like Jimmy Stewart and Clark Gable shipped out to fight. At 34, married with 4 kids, Wayne got a 3A deferment for family reasons, but whispers grew that he dodged the draft on purpose, maybe to chase stardom or even a steamy affair with Marlene Dietrich. Letters show he toyed with enlisting, asking Ford about joining his unit, but excuses piled up, more films to finish, studio pressure from Republic's boss Herbert Yates, who filed for a 2A deferment claiming Wayne was vital to national morale. Critics called him a draft dodger, and it haunted him. On the set of They Were Expendable in 1945, Ford ripped into him publicly about not serving, making Wayne salute over and over until he broke down crying in his trailer. His third wife later said the guilt turned him into a super patriot, pouring energy into USO tours and war films to make up for it, but the label stuck, especially since documents reveal the studio fought tooth and nail to keep him classified as essential, flipping him between 1A and 2A until the war ended. Wayne himself spun tales, like claiming he tried to join the OSS but paperwork got lost, but biographers like Scott Amon dug up the truth. He never pushed hard enough, prioritizing his rising fame over the front lines. That contradiction fueled his image, the man who played unbreakable soldiers but skipped the real fight, leading to lifelong regret that showed in his avoidance of veteran gatherings. Fans idolized him as the ultimate American, yet insiders knew the deferments were no accident, with Yates threatening lawsuits if Wayne walked away from contracts. It wasn't until books like Amon's John Wayne, The Life and Legend in 2014 laid it all bare that Hollywood had to face how their icon's heroism was more real than real, shaking the myth for generations who grew up on his films. Post-war, Wayne dove into roles that screamed patriotism, like in Sands of Iwo Jima, earning his first Oscar nod, but the draft-dodging whispers never fully faded, popping up in interviews where he'd deflect with absurd excuses. His name change added to the enigma. Studio execs dubbed him John Wayne without asking, inspired by a Revolutionary War general, and he stuck with it, though he always preferred his old nickname, Duke, from a childhood dog. That reinvention mirrored his life, a guy who turned personal flops into screen triumphs, but couldn't escape the wartime shadow that biographies finally dragged into the light. Growing up in Glendale, Wayne's early jobs, like delivering papers or working at an ice cream plant, built his work ethic, but the football injury was the pivot point, forcing him into Hollywood's underbelly where he lugged furniture for directors like Ford. Their relationship was brutal. Ford once kicked Wayne's butt on set, but when Wayne shoved back, it earned respect. kicking off 14 collaborations that defined both men. Yet Ford's World War II service only amplified Wayne's guilt, with on-set barbs like, "You big oaf, why didn't you serve?" cutting deep enough to make the Duke weep privately. By the 1950s, Wayne was box office gold, but the draft allegation simmered, fueled by peers who served bravely. Stewart became a brigadier general, Gable a gunner, while Wayne cranked out hits. It took decades for the full story to emerge, with applications and deferment papers surfacing, showing how Republic intervened repeatedly to keep their cash cows safe. Hollywood hushed it to protect the image, but when truths like his affair with Dietrich came out in books, it painted a man torn between love, career, and duty, not the flawless hero fans believed. That era shaped Wayne's conservative streak too, supporting the Hollywood blacklist against communists, but his war avoidance clashed with his anti-commie films like Big Jim McLean. Biographies revealed he co-founded the Motion Picture Alliance, pushing whack investigations that ruined careers, yet he himself dodged real battles. The irony stung when Marlon Brando called him out in 1973 for embodying a false American ideal, freedom and justice that didn't apply to all. Wayne's personal life mirrored the chaos: 3 marriages, the first crumbling amid the war years, with custody fears allegedly keeping him stateside. His kids later battled their own cancers, adding layers to the family saga that books uncovered. It wasn't until these revelations that Hollywood admitted the Duke's legend was built on selective truths, forcing fans to reconcile the man with the myth. Pushing through the 1940s, Wayne's output was relentless, but the guilt festered, turning him toward over-the-top patriotism in films to compensate. Insiders knew, but the public didn't, until archives opened, showing OSS applications that went nowhere, likely because Wayne never followed up amid studio pressure. That national interest deferment became the smoking gun, proving Hollywood prioritized profits over patriotism. Today, for Americans who grew up watching Wayne tame the West, these stories hit hard, reminding us heroes have flaws. From his impoverished start to dodging the draft, Chapter 1 peels back the layers, showing a man who fought inner demons fiercer than any screen villain. But wait, the revelations get darker in the next chapter. John Wayne's political fire ignited early, joining the John Birch Society and backing Senator McCarthy's witch hunts, but Hollywood glossed over his role in blacklisting folks like Dalton Trumbo until biographies exposed it all. He starred in The Green Berets to hype the Vietnam War, drawing flack from critics who saw it as propaganda, yet Wayne doubled down, calling dissenters un-American in interviews that later blew up. That 1971 Playboy chat was the bombshell. Quotes like, "I believe in white supremacy until the blacks are educated to a point of responsibility," shocked even his fans when it resurfaced in 2019, proving the Duke's bigotry wasn't rumor. He didn't stop there, slamming Native Americans by saying we didn't wrong them in taking their land, it was survival, and they were selfish for holding onto it.